The high-end villa of the Mexican drug lord, popularly known as the Lord of the Skies or El Señor de los Cielos, was recently sold off for nearly $2 million. This villa was auctioned off after 23 years after its owner, drug lord Amando Carrillo Fuentes' death. All the proceeds have gone towards Mexico's fight against various society's ills. Armando Carrillo Fuentes died in 1997 after a plastic surgery that went wrong, but he gained a lot of publicity during his life. He was nicknamed Lord of the Skies as he smuggled immense amounts of drugs into his private airplanes. Mexican drug lord Carrillo Fuentes' luxury mansion was auctioned 23 years after his death. The Mexican president pledged to utilize a part of this $2 million for poverty eradication efforts and to save the disadvantaged sections from street violence. Why has the Lord of the Skies, as he was dearly named, luxury mansion grabbed the public gaze now, and what has the Mexican president got to do with it? Stick with us to know the twists in the story. Who is drug lord Carrillo Fuentes? Lord Amando Carrillo Fuentes was one of the most wanted drug mafias of Mexico during the 80s and 90s. He amassed a wealth of over $25 billion from his drug dealing activities. Amando lost his life to plastic surgery failure at the age of just 40. Armando's gang killed the 3 doctors who were involved in the allegedly failed plastic surgery of Amando in vengeance of Amando. Amando's first criminal activity was smuggling marijuana. Amando rose to leadership of the criminal world in Mexico after killing his boss, Rafael Aguilar. Although Amando's brother Vincente Carillo Fuentes took over the throne, Mexican police detained him in 2014 for illegal activities. During the 80s and 90s, Lord Amando Carrillo Fuentes was one of the most powerful drug mafias in Mexico. He always had an interest in flying planes, which later helped him. His criminal record made him earn $25 billion. As the lavish villa lied unopened, the Mexican government finally decided to auction it to generate revenue and use it for the welfare of Mexican society. However, this villa is not the only one to face this fate. 143 other properties of Amando are in line to be sold off. In an auction held at the Mexican presidential palace, there were over 100 pieces of jewelry, 70 plus cars, 5 other opulent homes, and 5 private jets. The magnificent villa is what stole the public gaze among all of Armando's properties. Of course, the mansion wasn't so coveted for nothing. Armando's mansion was the most fancied residence in the neighborhood of Mexico City, Jardín del Pedregal. The 1992 built villa drew its inspiration from a lead female character from the famous Middle Eastern tale 1001 Nights, which was later translated into English as Arabian Nights. The same tale featured most renowned global fictional characters like Ali Baba, 40 Thieves, and Aladdin's Wonderful Lamp. No one dared to peek into the villa till this date, but according to sources, Amando's mansion has secret tunnels dug underground. Maybe that's how underworld criminals' houses are usually constructed, as they show in the movies. One of the tunnels was recently discovered during its demolition. Right after the construction, attempts were made by the Mexican government to confiscate the mansion. After rigorous legal fights and individual attempts, Amando's family managed to reclaim their villa. Although Amando's family took the mansion back, it was majorly left unused and soon became a hub for drug dealers and consumers. Due to lack of maintenance, the villa soon lost its sheen and magnificence to graffiti art and grimy dirt. This is not the first time Amando's mansion came into the limelight. There were attempts in the past too to demolish it and auction it back in 2006 and 2009, but they were soon forgotten. In September 2020, the government decided to fast-pace the process and sent crews to the mansion for the same. Along with that, the mansion was also filled with various secret tunnels located underground. In November 1993, his home was confiscated by Mexico's Attorney General. A motion was then filed by a lawyer on behalf of Dr. Juan Mexia, but the judge didn't stop the confiscation of the mansion. However, the family of Amando Carrillo Fuentes regained control of their villa a few years later. Even after its regaining by the family, it was left majorly unused and eventually became a hub for drug addicts who made it their home. Due to drug addicts settling in the expensive mansion, the mansion was left to turn prey to miserable conditions and was more or less covered with graffiti. The mansion was put up for sale in 2006, and in 2009, the governor of Sonora, Eduardo Bors, placed orders for the villa to be demolished. 11 years later, in September 2020, workers were said to do the same. What was inside the mansion? After the news broke out that the mansion was auctioned for a hefty sum of $2 million, people got eager to know what was inside the expensive mansion. Amando's luxurious mansion lies on a leafy street of the Mexico City. This mansion has been constructed with great detail and intricate designs. It has elegant hot tubs, splendid mirrors, a gigantic pool, and walls with silver finishes. A jacuzzi, bar, and wine cellar add an absolute beauty to this already classy villa. The indoor swimming pool with skylight makes the mansion even more enviable. There is even a small playhouse especially constructed for kids. The 3,500 square meter mansion attracted a sum of $2 million in the recent auction. The mansion was very luxurious and expensive. The entrance of the house was on a leafy street in Mexico City. When the bidding for the house was happening, there was only one bidder who offered $2 million. INDEP had hoped to sell the house for $2.17 million, though. About the auction, the Mexican government had already announced its intention behind auctioning this expensive villa. The Mexican president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, promised to use the auction-generated money for the welfare of the disadvantaged Mexican society. Only 9 out of 27 items were sold off, yet the auction managed to generate a record sum of 3 million pesos against the predicted sum of 167 million pesos for the entire auction. President Andrés already laid a roadmap of how the auction money would be used. He promised to spend it for the well-being of marginalized communities who fall victim for street violence and homelessness. Auctioning of property seems to develop into a trend in Mexico. The Mexico government is determined to raise hefty amounts from inactive assets of various criminals in the Mexico City. A similar auction in late May this year has reportedly raised $1.5 million. This auction was conducted to sell away cars and other properties of affluent personalities and hardcore criminals, which also consisted a Lamborghini of an ex-politician. Right after being elected, the Mexican president committed himself to raise more funds from auctioning of inactive assets and divert them from public welfare. He also announced that he would sell his president plan, the profits of which he promised to divert to reduce illegal migrations. When the luxurious villa of drug lord Fuentes was seized and auctioned off in Mexico City, Mexico's president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, had announced that all that the government would profit from would go towards helping those people who were a victim of drug gang violence. Although only 9 out of the 27 commodities were sold out, according to media reports, the whole auction process raised a total of $3 million or 56.6 million pesos. It was predicted originally that the auction would increase 167 million pesos. President Andrés Manuel López Obrador has also said that parts of the money would be devoted to helping poverty-ridden marginalized groups who were prey to violence in the state of Guerrero. It seems like such auctions are going to take place in Mexico continuously. An expensive car, a Lamborghini, was also one of the items listed to be sold. A year after being elected, Mexico's president Andrés Manuel López Obrador also announced that he would auction off his presidential plane. He pledged that his profits would go towards the work being done to minimize illegal migrations.